Welcome back to The Line. The Albuquerque Journal reported last Monday that 112 days into the year, 114 people have been shot in Bernalillo County. And by the time this program airs, that number may have risen. Diane, straight to it. This is a disturbing story to say the least. The Albuquerque Council recently hosted the first of 3 public hearings to hear from constituents about how we should spend this $1 billion that we've got coming to the city from the legislature. I can't imagine it's going to be all about safety right now.
Something like 80% of the people who stood up and testified at the first hearing said crime in some fashion was their #1 priority on it. A few had things like various kinds of infrastructure kinds of things, which are important. I don't mean to diminish those in any way, but crime is the #1 issue with people. And it's like every time you pick up and I look at my mother, who's 92 years old. She reads the paper every day. And she's frightened. She said, is this in our neighborhood? Is this where we live? And fortunately, it's not always where we live, but it's close enough. People care. I mean, when you, in the abhorrent treatment of children that is taking place, we're just, I'm sorry, I just started trembling. My body got so angry about this. So that's where they want the money spent.
That's right.
Is protection or first responders. We did hear some of that, the first responder help, because you need that.
Senator, or the senator here, you know, the administration has, meaning the Keller administration, has been talking about some good things that's happened with crime, but are they talking a little too much about the things that have leveled off and not enough about this? Because this is where folks' concern is right now. It's about gun violence, not so much about car theft and all that other stuff, which is important, but folks want to live. They don't want to, you know, get shot and die here.
Well, I mean, the input from the public is very important. I think maybe some people are shaking in their boots after the APS mill levy election, where they just kind of slammed a bill in with very little testimony. But unfortunately, I think we're looking at the back end a lot of times. So we look at laws, we look at law enforcement, we look at the judiciary, and we say, okay, if we can put 1,000 or 1,100 cops on the street, that's going to solve the problem. Community policing is going to solve the problem. Getting more money to the DA to prosecute is going to solve the problem. Having a judiciary that is more concerned about the victims than the ACLU is going to solve the problem. But we're not spending enough time on the front end. So our social infrastructure is in a hazardous state. I mean, what's happening in the home? You know, healthy families that have the personal and material resources aren't having children. Families that don't are having children. Faith communities. I mean, I read something the other day. 1 out of every 4 Americans doesn't attend a faith community. Well, guess what? You know, character education, values, service, those things. You know, we raise our kids in the home and in the faith community. If you believe Yahweh is your God and not Jesus or Allah, get over it. Focus on the character education, community building, values that faith communities bring. So I think we need to focus on the front end. That's one of the issues.
Let me swing Martha in here real quick, just to we're a little tight on time. The administration, when you think about it, you know, they're doing some good things. There's no doubt about it. You know, they're getting some support out there, but it could all be swamped over. Everything they're trying to do here could be swamped over if these numbers don't improve at some point. Do you feel a sense of urgency out of the administration to do this?
Absolutely, and I can give you a 4-letter answer to this problem. GUNS, guns. Now we can talk about the faith community and we can talk about mental health and all that, but as long as we are awash in guns, this is not going to stop. And one of the things that came out in the hearing was that the police have started to go with a project called Project Ceasefire. Now, why we're doing it now, when it was pioneered in 2008, and it has worked very well in places like Boston and Chicago, and it is absolutely to, first of all, map the gun violence, where it happens, who's doing it, and what they found in those cities, and I suspect it's true here, is that a whole bunch of this is inter-gang violence. and that they are awash in guns. It's in certain parts of the city, and what they've done is they have way cracked down on the penalties. They have brought in the feds. For example, there are federal, I didn't know this till I read this whole program, there are federal violations for parole violation, federal, that are much tougher than the state or local. I mean, they're sending people up for a couple of years for a parole violation.
Wow.
The gangs are getting the message. Wow. The numbers are astounding in how they've come down. So I do believe in some of these other societal changes, absolutely. But until we get the guns off the streets, this is going to continue. So I thought this was one hopeful thing. Now, when they say they're just starting with this, we don't know how far along they are, whether they're going to continue it, escalate it, and so forth. And the one other thing that I wondered about the legality, but apparently it's been litigated, is they're going to start in these other cities, they're already doing it, blaming the whole gang when one member commits a felony.
Ah.
I don't know how they do this. It sounded kind of blinky to me, but that's in the program.
Well, it's like anything else in life. You got to try something.
Yeah.
When things are this bad, you have to try something.
But they need money to do it, and that's where some of the budget should go.
Yeah. Oh, it should. And as you say, it was overwhelmingly supported at the meeting.
Julianne, of course, you're based up in Santa Fe, and we're talking about an Albuquerque problem here, Bernalillo County problem. But our city is reeling because we just lost a letter carrier who intervened between an argument between a young boy, or not a young boy, a son and his mom on the west side, and he was shot and
But a
killed.
young man, I think is what you're thinking of, right? This guy was a teenager,
That's right.
a young teenager, you know, and I think that is a trend that we're seeing that is very troubling. That, you know, there was a story out of Hobbs just this morning that we reported on in our morning newsletter where a group of kids threw bananas at another car and a teenager shot another teenager, you know, and the idea that the guns are in the hands of people who don't really know how to use them. I think it's an interesting statistic that there's been this 36% increase in shootings even as homicides have decreased.
Right.
So they're shooting at people,
Right.
but they're not necessarily succeeding, if you want to, you know, use that terrible terminology. So I think those are, you know, points to consider, and that really one of the things I think is troubling and in bringing in the feds to your jurisdiction has its whole other, you know, ball of confusion. That, you know, you've got the DA being quoted saying that he believes some of this you know, that a lot of this shooting is caused by a small percentage of loosely organized groups. And I found myself going, what is that code for? Is that code for gangs, you know, as you were talking about? Is that code for something else that he doesn't want to say out loud? You know, remember, we've got this history in Albuquerque of the ATF coming in and doing a drug sting where they claim to net the worst of the worst, and they really just disproportionately affected the African American community in Albuquerque. So I think that the way that the government approaches this problem is really important.
Good points there. Really appreciate that. Have to end that there, unfortunately, but still to come on the line. We explore the different approaches between the cities of Santa Fe and Albuquerque when it comes to sheltering asylum seekers.